parents. Welcome to Teenager Tuesday. We're back again with Josiah Haken from City Relief in New York City. So excited to have you here one more week with us. Man, I've loved hearing about some of the practical things that you guys do on the ground, and I've loved seeing it in action at City Relief. I know that oftentimes with the friends that you serve on the street, the reality of addiction is kind of major, and you see that probably pretty often. I'd love for you just to touch on that for just a minute before we jump into ways that we can serve as families together.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate truth right now is that, there were over 100,000 overdose deaths in the United States last year alone.
That's tragic.
Yeah, so this is not something that's just impacting the homeless community or it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are experiencing and start finding their way into, substance use and misuse like early on. It starts, I met a guy who I asked him, he was trying to get help for his drinking problem. I asked him when he started drinking, and he said it was when he was 13 years old.
Wow.
And so he was at this point, when I met him, he was in his 40s. And I asked him how long has he been homeless? And he said when he was 13.
Wow.
So his mom actually was, in an abusive relationship. Boyfriend kicked him out, and he started drinking and just never kind of looked back and recovered. So the truth is that the kids that we're parenting and their friends, our kids' friends, like people, this is a real issue.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I've observed sort of farther down the line with people in the street is that a lot of folks don't have anyone that can actually talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to open up the lines of communication.
Absolutely.
And just be honest about it, but not like super condescending or judgmental or fearful. Like, this is just a reality that it's in our world now. And we have to be honest with our kids and be real about the possible consequences. This is life and death in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
So I would just, as the person who's engaging people in the street 30 years down the line, I would just encourage if I could go back to that mom of the guy, and I would just, the 13-year-old is just like, please talk to your kid. Please just ask like what's going on. And then, therapy is such a good thing.
Yes.
Counseling, you cannot overstate it. Everyone needs counseling. I need counseling.
Yeah, me too.
Like, we all need counseling. And starting that early and helping, again, modeling that and saying it's actually not a weird thing. You're not crazy if you go to see a therapist.
Yeah.
And helping kids understand that, like, educating them around what drugs are common in your area.
Yeah.
And learning to identify them. I know there's lots of resources out there. So
Absolutely.
I would just say, just be super proactive.
Yeah.
I know a lot of parents are tempted to just sort of pretend or hope, like, I don't want to address it. My kid's fine.
They're fine.
They're fine.
They
What's the problem?
Yeah, they don't need that combo.
That's not my kid.
Yeah.
Maybe their
Someone
kid.
else's.
Not my kid.
Right.
And so I just really believe that we have to do a better job, especially in the church, of not stigmatizing addiction.
Yeah.
I think that's another big issue is we make it out to be this like disgusting, like hidden thing, and we push people into the dark.
Absolutely.
And we really have to open it up in a place that's not judgmental.
Right.
And just be honest with ourselves and with our students and with our kids. So just one thing I would just say, I think that's super important as we go into this sort of wave, because again, 100,000 overdose deaths in the last year
is mind-blowing.
Is ridiculous. And it starts with us in the home. We have to do a better job.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great nugget to start this third part 3 out. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember right now, but there was a study done that say that when you have your teenager serve in any capacity as a teenager, and as they're growing up, they're more likely to graduate high school, to be successful, whatever that looks like in their life. This is huge. It's a study that was done. And like I said, I wish I could quote it. I wish I could give you all the specifics of it. But I know that that's something that we've talked about on this podcast before, and probably many of our parents remember. And so we're talking a little bit about ways that families can serve together in a community and in maybe their neighborhood as a family. And we have some practical things that we're going to share at the end, just that Hope offers. But like, when you think about that and you think of families serving together in their neighborhood, are there ways that or tips or thoughts that you have that you could speak into to the families listening to this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, the one example is a term that my colleague Brett Hartford came up with, which I think is a really good one. He calls it heads up commuting.
Okay.
Where he describes, like, you know, when we're driving in our car and we just have our music up, or we're on the phone, or we're walking, you know, through a specific area. In New York, we walk a lot of places.
Yeah.
But we usually have our headphones in and we're usually not focused. So one of the things that I think heads up commuting means is like being intentional about creating opportunities for you and your family to be aware and observe the people around you.
Yeah.
To like maybe even create like a way of looking for needs.
Yeah.
Don't just wait for needs to like shout themselves in your face.
Yeah.
Actually look for them. Be proactive. Like, okay, Monday, we're going to find like we're each going to find as a family. I'm a family of four, so 4. Like each of us is going to look for one way to serve our community, or we're going to look for a way. And then at dinner time, we're going to report out.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to say, what did you do to serve? And then another example is like one of my friends has an 8-year-old daughter, and she actually started assembling hygiene kits for people that she was passing. And
I love it.
And they live in Kansas, but like, even again, homelessness is everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you're driving along the side of the road and you see someone on the sidewalk panhandling or whatever, like don't just like look the other way, but like she assembles these toiletries with deodorant and soap and all that stuff, and she actually makes her parents roll down the window and she gives them out.
It over.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of ways, and again, it doesn't have to be just homeless folks. That's obviously my sort of
wheelhouse.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm thinking about like teachers that are, you know, going through a really tough time right now. You know, family members, neighbors, people who've lost loved ones, like finding ways. Another thing I would just add real quick is, you know, I think a lot of times we want the people who are in need to tell us how to serve them.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult. I don't know I know for me, when I've been in like a stressful situation, when someone asks me how I can solve my own problem, it's difficult. I'm like, that's one more thing I have to figure out.
Right. I don't know. Yeah.
So I would encourage you to give people options.
That's good.
So instead of saying like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Say, I can do this, this, or this.
Right.
Would any of those options be helpful to you?
Absolutely.
So that way the person isn't having to come up with some theoretical way of helping, being helped.
Right.
They're given options. Oh, you can do this, this, or this? Yes, do that. Or they can say, no, none of them are really helpful. No problem. I just wanted to offer.
Yeah.
So being very specific and saying, what can we as a family do to help? If you don't have a lot of money, it doesn't matter. You can find other ways.
There's other ways you can do.
If it is money, I would say don't just hide behind your checkbook.
Yeah.
Like learn the names of the people that you're supporting.
So
Get engaged in the organizations that you're investing in.
Yeah.
Find practical ways to be involved in a tangible way.
Really know who you're serving.
Really know who you're serving.
I love that. Those are great. Thank you so much for sharing those. Just some practical things that I know we have at Hope, which the first I'm going to say is not just at Hope, because it's mission trips. We have, you know, Lana Vaughn, our outreach pastor, she plans so many mission trips throughout the year, and they're incredible. And our teams, they love going on. They come back life changed. City Relief, Hope students, this summer, we're taking 4 mission trips, 3 high school mission trips and 1 middle school mission trip. And it's very tangible ways to serve a community, not necessarily our community, but a community in the world that we live in, which is always life-changing, those trips. But things that we have here, and maybe parents are like, well, what can I do? I don't have a neighbor that needs anything. I don't, you know, like just really trying to figure that out. Well, we have things at Hope called Project Serves. These are incredible. And actually, my family loves doing Project Served. And sometimes it's just like, hey, we need to collect socks. We're collecting socks for the next couple weekends. And we're talking about that during our weekend services. And so together as a family, you're going to the store and you're getting socks and you're bringing them back. Like, that's a great way to do it. We also do Meals of Hope. We did that. We packed Meals of Hope, where a lot of our meals went to Haiti this year, which is incredible to do. We do a Thanksgiving one, which is for actually like students in our school district who were sending food home with them over Thanksgiving, because you know, normally they eat at school, and it's like, well, where is our food coming from? And so that's been really cool to do. Our Calling, that's a homeless ministry that's in Dallas. It's very cool. It's been cool to see and be a part of that. Metro Relief also is in this area. even mowing your neighbor's lawn.
Yes.
I know like in New York, you guys probably shovel snow and stuff.
Snow.
We don't get to do that as often, but we can do other things here, mowing lawns. Even together, something that my family has done in the past is going to a nursing home and visiting, nursing home people who are shut-ins and don't have a lot of people maybe coming to visit them. Just like talking is huge. Just only talking.
People are so lonely.
Yes.
Like right now, there's a pandemic of isolation.
Yes.
Like it's legit. There's so many people who are struggling and have no one in their life to talk to.
Yeah.
So finding ways to encourage and go out and look for ways to engage with people and talk to them, listen to them.
Yeah.
It can literally change someone's life forever.
Absolutely. And so I think there are ways we can do, and sometimes we just have to get a little creative.
Yeah.
That's it. And the thing is like, I loved what you said in part 1 of this series is you said, ask your students.
Yeah.
Ask them what they're seeing. Ask them how they want to serve. Because I really think that they have an idea of what could be done or what. And sometimes you have to push them a little bit. We know that, right? As parents of teenagers and parents of kids, like we know that sometimes we have to push them. But when we do, they so often beautifully rise to the challenge that has been put before them. And so, man, I'm excited. Thank you for being with us these past 3 weeks. It's been so cool having you, Josiah, and hearing more about City Relief. Hearing more about how we can serve as a family and what we can do, some tips that we can pull out of our toolbox and just help our families be the best that we can be as Christ followers and following in the footsteps that he's gone before with us. So love you. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks.
Love you, parents. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job. Listen, you can do this. You're not alone. God is with you, and so are we. We'll see you soon.